Hello, and welcome to the second iteration in our series of Spec P71 track guides. My name is Brett Madsen, and I am the owner of Spec P71 Racing Series, and I am here with you today at Willow Springs International Raceway, a 2.5-mile road course located in Rosamond, California. This track is fast, this track is slowy, but most importantly, it is incredibly dangerous. Being that this track is protected as a California historical landmark, its safety features have been left in 1953, the year this track was developed. Keeping this in mind, I will do my very best to give you both the fast and the safest line around this track, and the rest will be up to you as a driver. This all being said, let's go ahead and start rolling out of the pits here. Biggest thing to note on the pit lane exit is just to stay as far left as you possibly can. Check your mirrors. This is a very unprotected track as you enter it, so this is going to be mostly important if you happen to pull off during a hot track, so there's other cars already on track and everything. As you exit, just get yourself up to speed as fast as possible. Check those mirrors. Make sure you stay as left as possible. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the right here so we can get started on turn 1. So in the sim, there are going to be no cones for you to reference. And sometimes at the actual track, there might be cones, there might not be cones. You got to find something, some sort of stationary object that is going to help you with your braking zone for turn 1. And realistically, with our cars, the Spec P71 car, Crown Victoria, it's not going to be a massive braking zone. We're going to be able to carry a lot of speed through here. You can kind of see it on the screen right now. It's a very banked turn 1. So you're basically, the biggest thing you're going to do here is lots of trail braking into the apex of the corner, and just getting back on the throttle, accelerating out as fast as you can. Like I mentioned, there may or may not be cones here for braking. What I utilize in the sim is going to be, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see it, is that Frank's board on the right. So basically, it's the last full board that you see on the side of the track. So it's the last full billboard. The other two that are over here that you see here, those are just obviously missing any kind of advertising on it. So yeah, just utilize the Frank's billboard right here as your braking zone. And it's going to be, like I mentioned, it's not going to be heavy braking. It can be, but I mean, you might spin out a little bit. Realistically, you're going to come into this corner nice and hot, and for the apex, it's actually fine here to apex it a little early. And the reason I say that, this track has so much banking here that it's just going to hold you towards that inside line. And the most important part around this, once you actually get to the apex, is staying off that curb. If you see in the sim, the curb looks fantastic. It looks like you could ride the curb all the way around it. In reality, the curb is very much falling apart, as I mentioned, from 1953 kind of thing, where if you touch that curb, it's probably going to break off in chunks and send chunks of curbing everywhere. So try to stay off the curb as best as you possibly can. Stay nice and tight all the way around here. And as the car is coming around this corner, depending on how fast you're going, if you get that speed just right, and it's going to take a few times for you to get it just right, you're going to be, what I would recommend is going into that corner, turn 1, with later braking every single time and less braking every single time, so you can carry more speed. It's a very, very, you maintain the speed through this corner and you'll be perfect. And what that's going to do is that's going to push you all the way out here with all that speed, and you're probably going to pucker up a little bit as you get out here, because it's going to push you all the way out to this outside edge, and that's where you want to be. You want to be as far right to the exit of this corner as possible to set you up for the next turn, which is turn 2, one of my favorites, mainly because this corner in the Crown Victoria is just so ridiculously fun. It's going to be a tire eater for sure, because it's such a long right-hander, but you're going to set yourself back up by going all the way to the left. You're still going to be full throttle here, and as you enter this corner, you're going to find somewhere around this area just before you get to the tower on the right, turn 2 tower, you're going to go ahead and just lift. You're not even going to brake. You're just going to lift. And what that's going to do is that's going to get the car to rotate just enough, scrub just enough speed as you enter here, because you're going to want to enter like right early apex, because this is, like I mentioned, is a very long corner. It's going to get you right on the inside line here. Tires are going to start scrubbing. You're going to four-wheel slide it out to the center of the track. And that is, it's an amazing feeling when you get it right, because the car is just going to stay right here. And as you get to the center of the track, you're just going to hold it here. And you're going to hold that position with your steering wheel. You're not going to move the steering wheel at all around this turn. And the reason I say that is you're going to control the location of the vehicle with your throttle pedal. And how you do that, you lift a little bit to get yourself to go more inside. And if you want to go a little bit further outside, you're going to give it more gas. But realistically, you should probably be full throttle all the way around this if you get it just right. And now, as we head towards the exit of 2, the second tower, which I believe is called 2B, we're going to go ahead and start working our way back towards the inside. So double apex, apex at the beginning, apex at the end. And that's going to go ahead and start pushing us back out towards the outside here as we come up towards turn 3, the start of the Omega. Another one of my favorite corners here, just mainly because of the name of it, called Mustang Alley. And the reason for that is, if you've ever been to a Cars and Coffee event, Mustangs do tend to like to spin out. So as we approach this corner, what we're going to do is we're going to stay as far right to the as we possibly can. And typically there's going to be cones out here, but if there's not, there's a change in pavement that you're going to notice, as well as some marks on the right-hand side that are going to denote where your braking zone is. So it's going to be like paint on the ground kind of thing. I believe it's red paint. And you're going to stay in line with that silo that's out in front of us. And basically just hard brake. This is like the hardest braking zone for the track. The one time where you're really going to be getting on it. And you're going to stay out and try to angle this corner. It's going to really compress that suspension. And that's typically where the cars that are rear-wheel drive like to spin out, is once you really load up that suspension, it uncompresses as you get towards the apex of the corner and on the exit. And now we're going to be straight line all the way up to the balcony here. If you get this just right, you won't have too much slip, but a lot of the times the car is going to want to slide that rear end out, and you'll see a lot of Mustangs end off into the left-hand side, into those barriers and those that green wall that you see to the left. Let's try not to do that. Let's try to be a little bit better than the Mustangs here, and keep the car nice and straight all the way up to that inside curb right here. Not touching the curb once again, because as I mentioned, all the curbing here is completely destroyed. So, and for the top of the Omega, what we're going to do is we're going to stay more towards the inside, maybe towards the middle at the most. A lot of videos tell you to like follow the building all the way up and go all the way outside and try to arc it. That doesn't really work for these cars. You're not going to get anything on the exit. It's downhill, very short downhill afterwards. It's not a long straightaway. So there's really no reason to be going super wide out and trying to late apex this second part of this corner. So just stay more towards the middle. Nice and easy all the way through here. And we're going to get on the brakes somewhere around here just to kind of like set the nose and get the car to rotate in towards the apex of 4. And the apex of 4 is just after the 4B tower to the right here, basically where that little bush is, which is not a great marker. In real life, don't use the bush as a marker, but in the sim, it's pretty accurate for where you want the car to be. And you just hang it on the inside here and let the car kind of travel all the way back out to the left here. And this is partly where a lot of people get the next section wrong. Is they like think that they have to hug the inside all the way around where the curbing is on the right hand side where turn 5 is. That's not what you want to do. You want to make this as straight of a line of braking as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep it all the way outside here, and now start working our way towards the curbing. And the curbing is essentially where we want to line up the inside. So basically where that 5 marker is, now we're going to be straight lined all the way down to the next section of the corner, where the next one is a dip down with a decent amount of baking, but that little dip is what upsets a lot of cars that go around this track, specifically rear-wheel drive as we are driving. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up right here, and at the end of this curbing is where we're hard on the brakes, and we're starting to come off before we start turning left, because otherwise if we're still on the brakes as we come down into this, we're going to loop it and end off in the dirt to the left. So we're going to dive in here, trying to keep this as nice and tight as possible. A lot of people go all the way out to the right. Doesn't really give you any kind of benefit, especially with the Spec P71 car. This mainly because as we head up over the crest of 6, which is gets the car very light, you're going to lose a lot of grip, and if you're all the way over to the right here, you're going to have to lift. So you kind of want to stay as far left as to the possible here, just to try to straight line it up and over this hill, and stay full throttle as you jump up and over a crest. Car's going to get very light, stay off the curb to the right, and then back over to the left. And now we're hugging the left-hand side all the way down to the world-famous turn 8 and turn 9. And this little kink right here is called turn 7. It's not really much of a turn. Just stay as far left as possible. You don't really need to do anything else here. It's going to set you up for turn 8 here. For turn 8, in a faster car, I would say you would want to take a little bit more of an angle towards the inside, but for this, for the Spec P71 car, just get to the inside of the apex as fast as possible. Shortest distance is going to be the quickest for us, especially considering that we don't have to worry about the insane bumps that are on the inside of turn 8. The car just absorbs it like they're not even there. So you're going to stay flat out all the way through this corner. And you're just going to keep going as hard as you possibly can. Tires are going to be screaming. You're probably going to be screaming. It'll be fine. Let the car kind of just travel all the way out to the outside here. And now for turn 9. There are so many ways to skin this fish. My personal favorite way and the safest way is going to be a turn in a little bit early and stay towards the inside. The fastest way, of course, is going to be staying all the way towards the outside, but at that point, you really risk going off track, and you really risk taking a nice flight through the air and ending up into the green brick wall on the outside, which I've seen happen quite a few times. So I recommend, as I mentioned, just staying towards the inside. We're looking for a little silo off in the distance as our turn-in point. That being said, we're going to be gentle on the brakes as we enter here, because with the Crown Victoria, if you get on the brakes way too much, it's going to rotate you around, and that's going to send you off in a very, very bad way. So stay more towards the center here, kind of following where this old oil dry line is. So just stay right here, and then you'll start to see this little silo off in the distance. That's going to be our turn-in point for the apex. We're just going to keep that until that gets directly into our straight ahead line of vision. And now we're going to start turning in and aiming towards the curbing on the inside for 9. And when you get this right, you'll feel it, because there's a nice little dip here, and it's gonna boom boom and get you all the way down onto the bump stops at the Crown Victoria. And it's going to feel like the car gets really light, because it's going to bounce you back up and push you all the way out towards the outside of turn 9. And what a lot of people do here is when they get this wrong, they end up towards the outside, of course, because it's a decreasing radius corner, and it's going to send you off into this dirt. And there's been a number of close calls that have occurred with the pit wall entrance, mainly because of how fast you're exiting this corner, as well as people have gone off and just came all the way over across the track to the inside of the track from the incidents that they had. So just be mindful of that. And main thing is, if you do happen to go off here, try to keep the car as straight as possible. Get on the brakes, especially with the Crown Victoria, as much as you can. Again, with the straight wheel, of course, and try to just mitigate the amount of speed that you have in case you do end up hitting some of the ungraded surface that's out there. And hopefully you do not catch air. The Crown Victoria is quite good at handling air, of course, as well as dirt. So yeah, let's hope we don't end up out there. Do our best to kind of just work our way up to being as fast as we possibly can as we go around the track. And yeah, then you're just right back on it, full throttle all the way to start finish here, and then back around for another lap around Willow Springs. Hopefully this helps. We're going to go ahead now and hop into a hot lap. I'll give you a little bit of coaching as I go around the track at full speed. All right, and here we come for our hot lap here at Willow Springs International Raceway. Going to set ourselves up on the right-hand side here, looking for that last billboard on the right as our braking zone. Nice and gently on the brakes, carrying as much speed as we can. Back on the throttle early, all the way towards the outside here. Back over to the left. Heading into turn 2, full throttle, just a lift, let the car four-wheel slide itself out to the center, get back on the throttle once you start to recover grip. And then now we're full throttle all the way through, staying nice and tight here on the exit, and then back over to the left-hand side, then back to the right for the entry to Omega. Hard on the brakes, downshift into second, turn in, make this a nice and straight line all the way up, and then stay towards the center of the top of the Omega. Just minor braking all the way through here just to kind of set the nose back towards the outside to the left. And then as we swoop down and in, nice and straight line down into 5. Hard brake as you get to the end of the curbing. It's going to slide out a little bit on you towards the center of the course. Back up and over full throttle all the way through 6. Back to the outside, kind of recover your bearings a little bit. Stay to the left, take a nice deep breath before we head into 8. We're going to be up and over 110 miles per hour through this corner, getting close to 120. Tires are going to be screaming at you all the way through here. And then back towards the outside as we make our way into 9. We're going to aim for that center, nice and gentle brake. Look for that silo off in the distance. Back on the throttle and hit that apex. And then all the way towards the outside. Full throttle all the way to the finish, back over to the right. And that, my friends, is a fast lap here at Willow Springs International Raceway. So some final thoughts here as we completed our hot lap at Willow Springs International Raceway. As I mentioned, it's fast, flowy, but also very dangerous. As you might have noted as we went around the track, there are quite a few areas where you're getting really close to the edge of the track surface. So just be mindful of that. Work your way up towards carrying that speed all the way through the corner. Most important thing as far as being faster on this track is keeping that speed up as much as you possibly can. So just work on trying to brake less, work on getting on the throttle as early as you can, and work on keeping the steering wheel inputs to a minimum as possible, trying to keep that speed up as much as you possibly can. Because as I mentioned, these cars are aerodynamic bricks and they don't have a lot of horsepower. Other than that, looking forward to seeing you all out there for the next round at Willow Springs International Raceway. Just be safe, be courteous to other drivers, give good point buys on the straightaways, and have some fun. See you guys next time.